The Midnight Fairy and the Stardust. When the clock said midnight, the little midnight fairy opened her wings. The garden was silver and sleepy, and the moon hummed like a lullaby. In her pocket, she felt something small and warm. It was a jar of stardust, all twinkly and quiet. She held it up and watched specks float like tiny fireflies. The fairy smiled and whispered, "Tonight we will find one small star who needs a sparkle." Her lantern glowed softly, and she tiptoed into the dark flowers. She wandered beneath tall moonbeams and met the little moon rabbit. The rabbit had moon-shaped patches and hopped as if on soft clouds. He twitched his nose and asked, "Where are we going with a jar that sparkles?" The fairy knelt and showed him the glowing specks. "A baby star lost its shine, and we will help," she said. The rabbit wiggled his ears and decided to hop along. Together, they padded through petals that whispered good night. Far above, a sleepy cloud drifted down to listen. It hummed a low song that smelled like lavender. "I can carry you higher if you need, little ones," said the cloud in a voice like wool. The fairy thanked the cloud and set her silver lantern so it shone like a friendly moon. The rabbit climbed on the cloud's soft back, and the fairy tucked her jar beside the lantern. The sky felt snug, and the flowers below looked like tiny candles. The cloud carried them past twinkling trees until a little door appeared on a mushroom. A tiny brass key hung on a stem like a dewdrop. "Oh, a key," whispered the fairy. She used the tiny key to unlock the mushroom door and peeked inside. There was a little map that showed where the baby star might be hiding near the tallest tulip, beyond the pond of mirrors. They all held paws and wings and floats and set off, each heart full of a small, brave glow. Past the pond of mirrors, they met a playful shadow cat. At first, the cat made long, silly shadows that twirled and giggled. It jumped and tried to bat the floating stardust, scattering sparkles like confetti. "Careful," said the fairy, but she laughed because the cat's tricks were not mean. The cat led them in a little dance, and every time a sparkle landed on a flower, the flower opened a tiny, cheerful mouth to sing. The garden sounded like a bedtime parade. When the map's arrow pointed to the tallest tulip, the baby star was so small it looked like a shy pebble of light. It trembled and blinked faintly. "Oh," said the fairy softly, and she set her lantern beside the tulip so the baby star could feel brave. The rabbit hummed a soft hop hum, and the cloud tucked the tulip's leaves around it like a blanket. The star blinked a little brighter with each kind sound. It needed one gentle sprinkle to shine full. The fairy unscrewed the jar very slowly. Sparkles rose like tiny fireflies and tickled the air. She closed her eyes and hummed the moon's lullaby. Then she tipped the jar, 1, 2, 3 soft sprinkles fell like soft rain. The baby star shivered and then giggled a tiny twinkle. "Shimmer," it whispered. The rabbit clapped his paws, and the cloud blew a gentle breeze that turned the stardust into soft ribbons of light. The garden clapped too, in its own leafy way. Suddenly, the baby star popped into a bright, puffy ball of light and giggled a tiny sky giggle. It wiggled like a dandelion seed and launched gently into the air. "Goodbye, little one," they called, and the star bobbed higher and higher. The fairy waved her lantern, and the rabbit hopped in a happy rhythm. The cloud puffed out a big, proud smile. Even the flowers danced as the baby star found its place between other twinkles, practicing its new sparkle. But a little gust blew the baby star the wrong way toward a shadowy nook. "Oh," The star's glow flickered small again. The fairy and friends did not worry. The shadow cat leapt, not to play this time, but to nudge the star back with a velvet paw. The cat's shadow wrapped the star like a soft glove and pushed gently. Everyone cheered when the star righted itself and rolled back toward the moon's warm, cupping hands. Even the night seemed to sigh with relief. Now the star was ready to try its brightest twinkle. The fairy sang the loudest lullaby she knew, and the sky listened. Sparkles rose from the jars and from the flowers and lifted like tiny ladders. The baby star climbed its shimmer and burst into a full, soft sparkle that made the moon wink. The pond of mirrors reflected 1,000 happy eyes. The night garden glowed like a bowl of warm candy, and everyone felt small and brave and very loved. Time felt slow and soft as the moon nodded its head. The fairy tucked the empty jar into her pocket and handed the tiny key to the rabbit to keep safe. "We did it," she whispered. The cloud hummed a sleepy tune, and the rabbit yawned the longest rabbit yawn. The shadow cat curled around a tulip like a protective friend. Little giggles and sleepy sighs drifted through the garden like tiny autumn leaves. The night promised more gentle work tomorrow. The fairy walked back under the slow moonbeams. She paused and looked up at the baby star, now shining steady and small among the others. She leaned forward and whispered, "Good night, little light. Shine bright for dreams." The star twinkled back like a tiny thank you. The garden closed its eyes. The lantern's glow dimmed to a soft heartbeat. The fairy yawned and tucked into a petal bed, dreaming of more stardust adventures to share with friends. Dawn began to tiptoe in, painting the horizon blush and gold. The fairy woke a little and smiled at the morning birds. "We helped a star and shared stardust," she hummed, brushing dew from her wings. The little moon rabbit stretched and hopped toward his burrow. The sleepy cloud floated back to its cushion in the high sky, and the shadow cat curled in the tulip bed for a tiny nap. The garden kept aglow, just in case someone else needed a sprinkle. As the day opened, the fairy kept a single speck of dust on her fingertip, like a promise. She whispered, "When night comes, we will visit again." The flowers nodded their sleepy heads, and the moon waved goodbye. The garden was very small and very big at the same time, where little things and big dreams could meet. The midnight fairy tucked her lantern away until bedtime and hummed, knowing the sky would need friends who remember to sprinkle stardust and share tiny lights.